Welcome back, everybody, to the Fighting for Freedom podcast. I just want to say thank you to everybody for all your love and support. You guys have helped this channel grow dramatically. If you could please, at this time, drop us a like, comment, subscribe, share our podcast, turn on those bell notifications, and leave us a rating and good review. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Fighting for freedom, one podcast at a time.
What up, what up? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode on the Fighting for Freedom podcast. Today, the Fighting for Freedom podcast and the Freedom Empire take great pleasure in welcoming the founder of the 1111 Project and the national champion pro race car driver, Colin Garrett. Colin, what's up today, brother, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I know you had a busy schedule. We've been going back and forth on through social media and email trying to make this happen. So I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your day.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to it.
Of course. So, Colin, I am curious. How does someone from South Boston, Virginia, get to where he is today? Let's take it back.
Yeah, so we actually have a local track here in South Boston that I went to as a kid called South Boston Speedway. And I would grow up going there, when I was like 10, 11 years old. And it's just kind of like, it attracted me to stock car racing. It was, just a small town kind of vibe at the time. But I started there when I was 14 and just started, going through the ranks there. Won a championship there when I was a kid. And then, or I say kid, I was like 16, 17. But, and then went up to the pro levels. I graduated high school early. Probably should have been allowed to graduate at all, but our principal was like, you know what, you're trying to go do something big, so you go ahead and go. So I pieced out of my high school, haven't stopped fighting there in 7 years now or something like that. So I went off and started my career. So
that's awesome. That's crazy. It's always, so I'm from New York, right? So like NASCAR, race cars, not really like a big thing for us. So for me to talk to you about it, I was like, I'm going to sound a little dumb, but I did do some research, but I am curious, what kind of got that spark in you to, want to drive cars for a living?
I don't really know. It's something that I always loved. So I had a four-wheeler growing up, and I just wanted to be Jeff Gordon. We don't really know where that came from. So I drive around. I built a track in the field and would race by myself out there. And our only guess is that our babysitter lived down the road. They're from Virginia, Southern guys. My whole family from Michigan. So
okay.
Yeah. So we when I'd go over to their house, they'd watch NASCAR. So we're guessing that's our best guess on where it came from. And but we don't know where the Jeff Gordon thing came from because they were all pretty short fans that hated Jeff Gordon. So
wow, that's crazy. Well, it's funny you say Jeff Gordon too, because when I was younger, it was on TV, right? And just for a kid, whenever a kid goes to an amusement park or a fair, there's always a track. There's always race cars, and everyone loves going on the go-karts. So for me, Jeff Gordon was mine too. Plus, my birthday is April 24th, and everyone knows his number was 24. I remember having the little car. My mom was like, "Why do you don't even know who this guy is?" And I was like, "I know, but I know his name, and he has a really cool number." So I'm not hating on him. But that's actually pretty cool. You went from, being a kid driving go-karts to actually being a professional race car driver. That's honestly crazy.
I went pro when I was 17 years old, man. I have to remind myself of that every once in a while because it's kind of crazy. So
there's a lot of people that by 17, obviously, they're still in high school, I was still in high school. I didn't graduate until I was 18, and then went to college, did all that. So for you to I guess this would be a dream per se, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
I have to step back every once in a while and be like, holy shit, this is I've done all this stuff, and I feel like I've been around in the sport forever, and I'm 23 years old, and I think that's part of COVID, the timing of that. Everyone just feels like time is stopped. during the whole shutdown and everything. So it's like now looking back, it's like holy shit, like it hasn't actually been that long, but it feels like a lifetime. So
were we able to race during COVID?
yeah, so we stopped for. I was in California actually, like the day COVID happened, kind of like I was flying back, and our flight had like 10 people on it. It was super weird. There's no like mask or anything yet. We were
Yeah.
flying back. It was like this is odd, and I was supposed to be flying to Miami that week to race down there, and I was actually going to race trucks at Xfinity that weekend, and then they ended up canceling it. And then we were off for like I can't remember. I think it was like 8 weeks or so, like 2 months, and we came back in May at Darlington, and we ended up running like a few races. Like during the week, we'd run like double headers, or something. So we got to race out. There's no fans. They were super like weird about it. You go in, dude, and there was like full blown SWAT teams for like health. It was so weird. You pull in, and there's like bomb dogs, but they were like the COVID sniffing dogs, and they would come around and you'd like get sniffed and stuff. And there's like full blown dudes with like full kit on, like we're rolling. It was like, dude, are we serious right now? It was weird. It was so weird, but we were able to race, so I guess there's that. But it was a weird time.
Yes, sports were definitely weird at that time. Like seeing like hockey games and baseball games, they got really creative. Where even at like a City Field where the Mets play, where the New York Mets play,
Yeah,
you were able to like, I guess like buy yourself, and you would send them a picture of you, and they would do like a cutout. And
I remember that.
And they would put you in the stands. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I remember that. That was cool. Yeah.
If NASCAR did something like that, that'd be pretty cool too. But it'd probably just be a bunch of like shirtless dudes with cowboy hats on, in my eyes.
Yeah, it wasn't that. They could probably just go around the town we were racing in and just take some pictures and do it at the Walmart. But
just do it to won't be. Yeah. That's funny, man. So, where in the world? Yeah, where in the world have you been that you have raced?
So I haven't really been globally. I've mostly just been national. I actually just went out of the country, like I just went international for the first time last month in December. But we raced all over the country. We go to California, Wisconsin, New York, up the Watkins Glen up there, Florida, Louisiana, Texas. I mean, we hit up most of it. The only place you really don't see us is like the West, I guess, like Colorado, Montana, that kind of stuff. There's not really any racetracks out there. So, but
yeah, unless
Midwest,
you go
East,
up
and West Coast. Yeah, exactly. So,
Colorado
is Pikes Peak, though.
Say again.
I want to do Pikes Peak, so that would be, in the middle. So
I bet you have your bucket list, even for somebody who is like, I'm not going to say hitting their peak, but like living their dream. You still have like a bucket list of things you want to do, which is
100%,
which is really cool. Now, speaking of bucket lists, where does the 1111 project come into you in your life?
Yeah, so the 1111 Venture Project, it was kind of I don't want to say a long time coming, but I guess you could say it was a long time coming. So when I was 14, I guess when I started racing, I guess they're still around. I haven't worked with them here in a few years. They're called Mission 22.
Yes.
I started working with them when I was like 14 or 15 or something like that. And I just put them on a car, and that was completely like my idea. My family had just kind of always been around the military circle. My brothers are my half brothers, and their dad was in the Army. Graduated range school, all that kind of stuff. Like that kind of was like always like one of our things that we've looked up to as a kid. I guess our brothers and I would go out and play Army and stuff, and both of them actually ended up commissioning in the Army. And one of them's a company commander down at Fort Passos or whatever it's called, at Fort Hood, and is a Apache time, and then the other brother, he just got out, I think, this last year. So he was up in DC, did some stuff with Bitra. He was in the Virginia Guard, did some contracting stuff, but he's out now. So that kind of was just like near and dear to us, the military thing. I've had a family member in like every major U.S. conflict, like all of that Revolutionary War. So it's kind of like always been there. But as far as 1111, so we have the military backgrounds, and we found out about this nonprofit here in Southern Virginia called Racing for Heroes. And Racing for Heroes, what they do is they get guys who are, getting out of the military or whatever, and just a lot of them are actually still in the military, and they just need somewhere to go, like be back part of the brotherhood. And what Racing for Heroes did was they bring you in. you could like just work in the shop, like literally just come in there and sweep floors and stuff. And like that's kind of like the biggest story with guys is like guys will come in there super quiet, not really say anything, and they'll just be standoffish and they'll be sweeping floors or something in the background. And then like the next week they start bullshitting around, and then like a month in, they're all brothers, and like that's kind of what it was all about. Is just like kind of getting that brotherhood back together, and then and that was kind of like through racing. So then they like go to the racetrack and stuff, work on the cars together and stuff. So it was really cool. So we partnered up with them back in 2019, and we kind of broke off on the Mission 22 thing, and kind of went all in with Race for Heroes. And when the Race for Heroes thing started, we started meeting other people through that organization. We met Stephanie Brown at the Rosie Network, who's out in California, and they help veteran entrepreneurs and mil-spouse entrepreneurs who are, guys trying to start up their business, or mil-spouses who are, they can't really get a life kind of settled. So, they're PCSing everywhere all over the world. And, they start their own company basically. So that's all they can do. So they help with that kind of deal. So, but we got to the point where we had, where if we started like 2 main companies, and by the end of like 2020, 2021, we had Upcon, and it was like, all right, so we need to figure out like how we can have these all on the car, and it just wasn't gonna work. It's like, how are we gonna like put one on the car over the other and stuff? So it was like, all right, why don't we make the 1111 Factory Project? We didn't really have a name. I can't remember what we called it first. I might have done something like that, but we came up with that, and we're like, all right, so we're gonna have like a central place where everyone can go and be like, all right, what's the 1111 Retro Project? Go there. Then we have like, oh, what do you need? Like, you want to be back for our brotherhood, you're trying to start a business, you're trying to like figure out how to work with computers. So like Tech Recruits, that's another organization we started with. Like, you want to learn computer programming, go to Tech Recruits. You need a service dog, we have American Vet Dog. And then we send you where you need to go from there. So it just became like a central location for people to come, and we kind of disperse them where they need to. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, I was looking into it, and there's a lot of like, I think there's like 5 or 6 different branches that is included in the 1111 Veterans Project. There's entrepreneurship, there's accessibility, that's for disabled owned businesses, stuff like that. There's job training and placement, physical and mental health, which is one of the big ones, and then corporate and philanthropy events and stuff like that. Now getting to the mental health one, right? That's kind of like a big aspect that I like to preach, being active duty military, kind of seeing it on a day-to-day basis, right? There's a lot of people in this community, in the Freedom Empire is what I call me and my community, but just meeting so many people that, understand that mental health is a thing in the military, and you have to try to get to it before it's too late, right? Things, you could still mental health going on for a month, a year, and try to deal with it as best you can. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of it, you might not have enough time to actually react to it. So I want to say thank you for using your 1111 project and being a professional race car driver to kind of spark the interest of maybe some people out there who are going through some downfalls for it.
Of course, man. It's super awesome to see. Like, we'll be at the racetrack. And I think at the real first time it happened, we were in Miami in 2019. And there was a guy, he was like the NASCAR races, we have like safety fire guys, like guys standbys with fire models and like in full flame protection suits and stuff. And I think they just volunteer for it. It's just, normally a race fan or something that wants to be a part of it. And we were sitting in the garage, and we had at the time, it was Cracking Skulls and Will Be Official. They were some guys out of some sound group guys out of Fort Bragg or Fort Liberty, I guess now. And they were sponsoring the car for the weekend, kind of. And the guy who was our fire guy for that area for that weekend, he was like, "What's going on with this?" And turns out he was, I think he was Army vet, and he's now since been a big part of our deal. So he kind of like got involved and went forth, and I think we sent him. I can't remember where he won. I think it was Race for Heroes that he got involved with. But yeah, it's super cool. Like that was the first time someone at the racetrack kind of like came up to us and got involved. So it's super cool to see that. So
Yeah, that must be cool to like have like kind of like a fan, just like just it's kind of like any sports event, right? Like everyone wonders like, how do I be a bat boy, or how do I be like a field guy? Just to be on the field. So I guess he kind of found his way of being like a fire control, and then all of a sudden he was just like, that says veterans on there. What are you guys doing here? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was
that's kind of
awesome.
cool.
So,
do you have any experiences being in the car and being so uncomfortable that you become comfortable?
dude, I remember we were at Martinsville Speedway and we were under red flag. So we just came through 1 and 2, or go through 1 and 2. And this guy, we're coming out of there and someone spins out and he's like backwards, and then another car comes in, like runs over his nose and flips like right, and he launches into the air, like barrel rolls down the backstretch. It was the coolest shit I've ever seen. And that was right in my mind. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
My spotter was like, calm down, bud. I was like, that was fucking awesome. So he thought I was freaking out. I was like, that was the coolest shit I've ever seen. And so anyway, they obviously red flag because he's upside down on the backstretch.
Yeah.
And dude, I had to take a shit so bad. And I just like fell asleep. And I was like, oh, this is good. But that's kind of like, that's just a funny story. Like, I can't come up to that. But no, like a serious one, that's just a funny story there. A serious one was probably this past year. We were racing, and I was starting deep in the field. And I'm racing sports cars now, so it's like super. We're racing like $250,000 cars, and people just beat the shit out of each other. It's hilarious. But we were racing. I was starting deep in the field. Guys just idiots, and we're going back and forth. And it was like, I am spazzed out right now. But you get into like this flow state where you just like, all right, I'm just hit my marks here, and things just start coming naturally. You start doing things that you don't even realize that like you got to do. It's just your brain just going. So it's really cool, and I think that happens a lot, and people don't really necessarily realize that. Just in those fast stress moments, that would definitely be like I think that people aren't too aware of, but it happens. So
yeah, definitely high stress moments. Relating that to like kind of PCSing, going to a new duty station, and like you were saying before, with like that whole brotherhood with working at the shop for the Racing for Heroes. It's kind of like when you first get somewhere, maybe that's like the initial when maybe your brain isn't completely there because you're in a new area, you're with new people, you're around new surroundings, and you kind of just don't know what to do. So you kind of have to like find your outlet in a way to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. I kind of found English, right? Hard language. I kind of found my outlet with jujitsu. So I started doing jujitsu because I wanted to be the most comfortable in the most uncomfortable situations. And I found a jujitsu coach, and I told him that, and he goes, if that's what you want to do, you're in the right place. And I was like, okay. And that helps me battle like these everyday things, like when you go to work and you get bad news, and it's like, hey, we're going to be working really late today. Or, hey, you're going to have to go for a week away from your family. To be able to like process those and break them down into like smaller segments of, oh, it's only a week, like I'll be fine. I talk to my wife, talk to my parents, and everything will be fine. So your outlet, I guess, is driving cars, well, $500,000 cars, and just destroying them completely.
yeah, kind of. But I actually know a few guys that do jiu-jitsu, so that's actually super interesting. That in the military, that I wonder if that's like a common theme. So
it's actually the whole combat aspect of it, right? Like we're all men, we like nicotine, caffeine, and now jiu-jitsu. And it was actually I think the way that I found out about you, Colin, and the 1111 project was through he's one of the famous social media
mandatory fun day.
Exactly. Yeah. So he was one of those guys that kind of got me into like being on social media, not podcasting per se. But I seen him do a video about you guys, and I was just like, oh, this is dope. And the more I watched Mandatory Fun Day, I seen he was doing jiu-jitsu too, and he was like, it's kind of an outlet for me where I get to like not be at work and just beat up other people, but like illegally, and it's fun, and it's a good stress reliever. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a whirl. I actually met some guy on my podcast, and he was telling me how, he was in the army. He did jujitsu prior to the army to lose a bunch of weight so that he could enlist. When he finally enlisted, he was like, I hate this so much, I want out. He ended up getting out of the army on his own. And then he does jujitsu full time, and he has like his own camp where he has people come in. So I was like, you guys got like a community here. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of fun. It's awesome. Real fun.
Yeah. I was actually one of the people I was thinking of was mandatory fun days. So that's pretty
cool. Really?
But,
okay.
Yeah. So we've become pretty good friends now, so it's super cool.
Yeah. What's the relation that you and him have?
Yeah, so another one of those organizations that we learned or met through 1111. We started working with Hilarious, so they kind of do the same thing that Racing for Heroes does, but through comedy. So it's like you come out and they teach you how to do comedy. They help you on your comedy. I don't want to say bits, but your stand up essentially, and they try to have you just laugh about your experiences. Some guys like keep it bottled up. This is a way to kind of just like get it out in a funny way, make it funny, that kind of deal. So we sponsored their last, I guess, season, we can call it. They had a tour. We went all around the country, and they come to like basically every major duty station area, I guess, and they just hit like a general area. So they'd go to like Fayetteville, or they go to like Colleen, or just wherever. They just hit like big areas, and they would get from people from each area to come up, and they would do a a competition. So they would get, let's say, 5 people, and they would battle, I guess, whoever had the best comedy bit, comedy sketch deal. So and at the end of it, they had like a grand finale in Vegas for like the winner, and we met Mandatory Fun Day through that. So he and I hosted actually the Fayetteville show together, and he's worked with us, I guess, since then. So it's been super awesome. That relationship has kind of grown in the last 6 months, I guess. And now he's working with us primarily. So it's really cool to have him on our side, especially a guy with that many followers, and and is in it. It's super cool. So
he posts some funny stuff, and there's a lot of like there's like a fine line between like being active duty and like what you can talk about. But he like, and it's hard for me because I don't really know, and maybe I'm like more skittish with my words. But he does it like on point. Like he is so good with everything he says. He did one bit about like, well, let's have one person on like gate duty, and let's have everybody come in at the same time. And I'm like, dude, that's so true. Like that's literally what they do. And he's not like shaming anything. He's just stating the obvious. But the way he does it is just so comedic. I think it's hilarious. He should start doing stand up.
Yeah, so I think he was doing a few little shows there when we were doing it, but he just started here recently, so that's what they were kind of working with him on. So nice. He was one of the, I guess, clients, you could say. So he's a funny dude, man. He's got a few jokes that are just hilarious. So he does that like high pitched voice,
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying too. That's another thing that kind of catches you is his voice.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that like it's actually just his voice.
Yeah,
people like how. Yeah, he's like, how did people like? How do you do that voice? And so one of his bits is like, if one more person asks me about how I do my voice, it's not going to be 22 a day. It's going to be 23 a day. Like, oh my god.
Oh god, I'm tearing. Hey, shout out Mandatory Fun Day. I reach out to him every now and then. Just like I was saying with you before, like you have that bucket list, right? And my bucket list is to have like this interaction right now I'm having with you, Colin, to have with him like in the future. Also, there's another guy, Jokes by Drew. He's really good. But honestly, like Mandatory Fun Day, he is so comedic. And being active duty, it kind of makes me feel like a lot more comfortable being able to talk to him, because
Right.
we'll be able to like relate on a lot of things. The
Yeah.
only difference is he is officer and I'm
Yeah.
enlisted, so that'll be like the Yankees and Red Sox going at it.
He's arguably not a real officer though. He just became he just
Yeah.
became an officer. So
He says it. He says it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he has the
Yeah.
nicotine and caffeine addiction, he might not be an officer.
exactly.
If he has
I'll
the
have to get you guys
granola
hooked up.
addiction,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
honestly appreciate that. That would be so
for
dope.
sure. For
So,
sure.
Colin, I'm kind of at a loss for words right now. But just that now, the only thing I have in my mind is just seeing this and him talking, and then seeing. It's funny. I always think like, imagine if like whoever like sees him like in his car like filming a TikTok or filming an Instagram videos. Like, what is this guy doing?
Dude, he and I did one together. Oh my god, we were down in Chapel Hill. He was here for something, and we're in the hotel lobby, and we did a skit. It is like the most awkward skit ever because we're literally in the lobby, and people are coming through. It's like 7 o'clock at night. So people like checking in, and he's like, "Oh, we'll just do it here." I'm like, I'm not comfortable doing this right here. And I don't know if you saw it. It was the line about veteran humors or just military humor. And I was supposed to play like, oh my god, this is so dark or whatever. And I was sitting there, just like at the end of every time that I like quit video, you could feel like sort of burst out loud. It's so awkward. We're literally in the lobby, and there's like people walking around, and he's doing his bit. And he comes in and says some horrible stuff. He's like, "Have you heard of the retirement plan, the Remington retirement plan?" I'm like, lobby here. So,
he has no chill, and he speaks from the heart. That's one thing that I love about him is he says what's on his mind, and he's just like, you don't like it, sucks, you know?
Yeah. He's a great dude. So.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, getting back to real quick, before we keep going, I just want to give a quick shout out to the 1111 project, a veterans project, and the partners, right? So forgive me if I butcher any of these names, and just correct me if I do. But we have Gretchen Evans. She's the founder of Team Unbroken. She was actually one of like the whole bio. I was just like, okay, wow, okay.
Yeah.
She was a 27-year Army veteran. She's actually in the U.S. Army Women's Hall of Fame. I thought that was really cool. That we have Mike Evok. Am I saying that right?
Evok, yeah.
Mike Evok. He's the founder of Racing for Heroes. So when you said that, it kind of like light bulb. Then we have Stephanie Brown. She's the founder of the Rising Network. Monique Clark. She's the founder of the Lioness Defense Firearms Training. And Annette Winterberger. Am I saying that right?
Wittenberger, yeah.
Wittenberger, yeah. She's the founder of a wild ride called Life. That one also spoke out to me because it was a wild ride, man. Time flies so quick, especially time in the military. Like people are like, well, what are you going to do after this? You know, and you kind of get that big spark where they want retention to stay higher. So they want you to stay in the military. So they're like, well, you already did 5 years. Might as well just do 15 more. But
might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Well, might as well not, right? There are plenty of resources that help you transition from active duty to civilian. And the 1111 project, I think, is phenomenal to give people kind of like a walk in, and it's kind of like a front desk. It's like, how may I help you today? Yeah, exactly. It's like, how may I help you today? You tell them what you need, and they'll kind of point you in the right direction for what exactly you do need.
What's that called at a hotel? Like a concierge or wherever you go?
The concierge.
What's the best thing in town? Or yeah, so it's kind of like
shouldn't you know, dude? You filmed a skit in the lobby of a hotel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You're like, dude, we're paying like $500 a night. You sure you just don't want to go to the room? we gotta do it right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah. So quick shout out to those partners. Without them, I don't think any of this would be possible, because they all pull their weight in some kind of way, right? It takes bricks to make a building, and one brick ain't gonna make a building.
No, not at all. Not at all. So,
Colin, do you have any, since you've been driving race cars, do you have any special or significant stories of working with the military?
So Racing for Heroes has the nonprofit side, which is Racing for Heroes, and then they have a for-profit side called RFH Tactical Mobility. And I don't know if you've been at any driving schools or anything, but I work with them on that kind of on that stuff. So we train everybody basically. If we come in, and we'll have SEAL team some week, we'll have SWIC, we'll have seventh group guy, we'll have to just whoever, we'll have a MARSOC come through. We'll have the embassy Marines before they deploy. They come to us. We have missionaries, straight up missionaries that come in and that live in like Iraq, and it's just like some 40-year-old white dude from like Tennessee that is living in Iraq or some shit, and it's like wild, dude. And but yeah, so I train actually all the driving stuff over there. I say all, I train most of the driving stuff over there, and so I work with those guys pretty hands-on, pretty regularly. It's super cool. Story-wise, I don't know. Well, there's a lot of guys. They're just actual retards over there. But,
I was gonna say, if you're teaching the military how to drive,
oh my god, dude, it's so painful. Wait, I remember we had these. They were actually instructors for SWIC, and they came in there, and these two guys, they roll in. They're wearing their kit wipers, and they had Zunes before Zunes were cool and stuff, and they was like, all right, these two, and they like hung on to me for the week. I was like, oh my god. So I was their instructor, and it was a pretty small class. I think it was only like 6 of them. And so we go out to our off-road portion, and these dudes are like, we're the shit. We've been like all the off-road schools, everything, blah blah blah. And they're just like beating up on all their colleagues and stuff like, but you guys aren't. And we go out there and we get to the first obstacle, and they launch one of our forerunners off a long bridge. And I took a picture. I was laughing so hard, just kind of in the background. And because I've got a picture of one with his hands like on his hips, and he's just like staring off for someone to help. And then the driver's just sitting there looking at the ground. And I took a picture because the forerunners look like that. It's all you guys are a bunch of idiots.
Yeah. Oh, you're from Tennessee, huh? Yeah.
yeah. So let's do. But yeah, I mean, we have so many of those guys that come through, and there's some wild stories. The missionaries are the best stories because those dudes are just something. So, but it's a good fun.
You put people in the driver's seat of a $500,000 ATV, a tank or a Humvee or whatever, and it's completely different. There's no AC. The windows barely work. There's no radio. Those things you're trying to turn them. You got to crank the whole wheel. Oh, it's wild. That's funny.
Yeah, these groups are they're something. So, and then they just like they expect to have a freaking a shop to just fix everything, and it's like, dude, like we gotta fix this shit. So, like, stop. So we do have a shop.
You personally have to fix things?
No, we have like 3 guys that do it. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Like we don't have we don't have a whole motor pool to like fix stuff. So it's just like we're smaller than the military. So
their mentality is, we'll just buy a new one.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, no, bro. I've got so the car I drive at work, there is it's like a 1995 Cherokee, like the X-Day, the spurred body Jeep, and it's from Japan. It's right-hand drive. None of the electronics work. The right front suspension, we've replaced the suspension, but so is it blown out for some reason. Every time I take a turn, it just like dives over on the right front, and I don't know why. They literally replaced everything, and but those dudes, they'll just go whomping on that thing and start walking it over rocks and stuff. I'm like, bro, I swear to God, if you break this thing, I'm gonna kill you. It's our best car.
This is a bus car, and the thing dives.
Yeah. I love that thing, dude. We'll go out there and it never gets stuck. It has never gotten stuck before. We'll go through like mud holes and stuff, and we've got forerunners and Hiluxes and everything. They're just jacked up tires and everything. They get stuck immediately. But that little Jeep Cherokee, all it has stock. It all has mud tires and get through everything. So, but yeah, it's good fun. So
I will say, be grateful that you get to teach, I guess, that group of people how to drive, and not like the lower enlisted, because they think of some crazy things to do, man. I have seen some wild stuff. I seen some guy, he stole a Humvee, and he took it like on the beach, and then he just like decided to like drive it into the ocean, and I was like, What do you think was gonna happen? You think this is like a land and water vehicle?
Right,
That's not how this works.
Dude, that's
you imagine
wild.
if you had that guy show up to your class.
Right,
You're like,
right.
oh god.
We have a few of those guys that show up every once in a while. And the missionaries are the worst, man. They just like take off and it's like, what are you doing? And it's like, like, oh, dude, it's so bad. Because you, and the missionary stuff, you don't know who you have. You'll have like a 70-year-old lady or like a 40-year-old woman who's never driven a car and speaks Korean. It's like, I literally, dude, I had to drive this lady. I think she's Korean or something. She'd never driven before, never driven a manual, and didn't speak English. And I had to teach her how to drive a manual. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like doing hand signals with the pedals and stuff. I'm like, okay, slowly off this. And we halfway got it. I was like, good enough. We'll go. So
Yeah.
I was like, dude, but everyone that drive a manual, that's class. I don't know how it's going to work, but.
I feel like the only way to teach someone, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert, you're the SME on this one.
Yeah.
But the way I learned how to drive manual was my dad took me out. He put me on a main street, and he said, get out, hop in. And I was like, oh, fuck. And he was like, figure it out. And I was like, oh, shit. All right. So it was literally look like an idiot and have all these people cursing me out in the middle of New York, honking at me.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was like, hey, listen, he was like, you're going to figure it out. It's not that hard. There's a run to a pedal, and you have to keep your hand on this thing most of the time. And I was like, all right, I'll figure it out.
That's the thing is that, like, I try to tell people, it's like, you were literally just thinking about it too much. It is so easy. My girlfriend's the worst at it. She's just like, she will not drive me. I'm like, it is literally, once you get out of, like, first gear, once you're not stopped, is simple. And,
you literally just listen, feel.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, my car's getting real loud. Maybe I should move this thing.
Exactly. So the way I'll like teach people from like a stop, so we'll just be sitting there completely stopped. And I'm like, okay, all right, put the e-brake on or whatever. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, feet completely off pedals except for clutch, press the clutch in, put it in first gear. And I'm like, all right. And I'm like, okay, slowly come off the clutch until we start feeling the vehicle like do that little where it starts fogging. And I'm like, okay, feel that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, all right, take the e-brake off, do that, like slowly, and we do it, and all of a sudden we're driving away. I'm like, you're driving manual. That's all there is to it. So and then I'll take him over to like a hill, and I'm like, all right, now hold the brake, and we'll like go into the box. And I'm like, okay, release the brake, and start giving a little bit of gas. I'm like, there you go, all there is to it. It's so simple. So
and don't worry, because if you're driving manual and your car slowly starts to roll and you hit the guy behind you, not your fault.
Exactly.
It's not your fault.
Okay.
Those people. So the cars that you teach these people how to drive, they're all manual for the most part.
It depends on the contract. So we have like our track cars, our Crown Vics. They're just retired cop cars, and we'll go out there, we'll sling around. We've got skid pad that we'll drive, and we've got a little racetrack there. It's at Virginia International Raceway, which is a big racetrack that we race at actually on the professional side. But there's a little 1 mile circuit in the middle of the racetrack that we use, and that's what we train people on. But mostly like the only different vehicle that we'll get is the Air Force OSI. They have to do in Suburbans and stuff because that's what they're going to be driving primarily. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, that's what we train everyone in that. So
I can kind of picture it in my head of you being in like Danny Duncan's backyard, just with a bunch of people, just going off ramps and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. So I'm curious, and I bet everyone else listening is curious. For someone who drives professional race cars, right? What is your daily driver? I bet you got this a lot.
This is the like biggest question. People are like, oh, you drive like, because I was BMW now, like, oh, you race a BMW? No, or you drive a BMW? No. And so I drive a truck. I drive a GMC 3500 single rear wheel. So
okay.
If I had a car, I'd kill myself.
You know what?
To do with a car.
Now that I think about it, yeah. But also, like, it's hard for you to say, right? But I started off with a car, got like an SUV truck, and I don't think I can ever go back to a car. So when you get into like that big cab truck, there's no way you go back to a car.
Yeah, no. And like, so I had a 1500, 25, and a 3500 kind of like all in a row. And it's the only reason I got 2,500 to the old dually that we're using for racing. So, and I had my 1500 piece of crap. It blew up like 3 times. Brand new truck blew up 3 times. It was terrible. And so we traded both in, split in the middle of 2,500. And I ended up needing the 3,500 for pulling stuff. And so I got that. And I was like, why would you even get a 3,500? First of all, like, there's no point. And if you're not even gonna, if you maybe might pull stuff, I would not get an HT. And if I don't see a place for a 1,500 anymore. I see a place for like a little midsize, like a Tacoma or a Colorado or something, or a full size truck. Like, there you go. Like, that's all you need. There's no need for all these like different trucks and stuff. So it's that's what I drive. It's it keeps me alive, I guess.
Yeah.
So that I can still drive it pretty quick, but I can't fly in it. My brother Brian, he was deployed, I think, God, it was 3 years ago now. He has this little Volkswagen GTI that's 6-speed manual. It's got like stage 2 tuning on it, and it's so fast, ridiculously fast. And I had it while I'm deployed and down in my apartment in Charlotte, and I take that thing around, and I was like, I'm gonna die in this thing. It's so bad.
You should have got it wrapped in like your face. You know, like how people get like shirts of like it is just Colin's face all over the shirt.
Yeah.
You should have did that.
Like,
he would have came up from deployment, and like the one thing you want from deployment, like speaking from experience, is just American food, and not only that, your car. Like, there's nothing like getting in your own car and just rolling the windows down, putting on your music, and just going. Can you imagine if you
I can't imagine how it is after like 9 months, but like a freaking coming back to the airport or whatever, that's the same feeling or whatever. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been hysterical.
But if he ever across the hood,
if he ever goes away again and you end up getting his car, food for thought. You know, that'll be the.
I should have done it with my other brother because he bought a car and had it delivered to our house. And while he was gone, so I should have done it there while I was in our shop. It's brand new car and nothing. I was like,
just wrapped. I'm like, dude, I just made the value of it go up.
Exactly.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Colin, this has been a great episode. This has been a hysterical episode. Again, to all your partners, I just want to give a quick shout out to them. Mandatory Fun Day, shout out to him, man. Great people, great organizations. Is there any questions you have for me?
No, I mean, I guess I don't know too much of your background. I know you gotta try to end the show here, but like,
no, we're good, man.
What do you do?
I got all the time in the world, man.
Okay, yeah. So like, I don't know much about you, but
we could turn this around real quick.
Let's do it. Yeah, so I can interview you. So, all right, where are you from? Yeah.
So my name is Vinny Harum, Vincent Harum, but everyone calls me Vinny. I'm born in Brooklyn, New York. Raised in Staten Island, New York. Graduated high school like a normal kid. Went to college like a normal kid. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. My math teacher in high school that hated me and I hated her was actually my math teacher in college, so it made things even worse.
God.
And I was just like, you know what? College is not for me. So I dropped out after like a year and a half, maybe a little less than that. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I was like, I have no clue. So I was working as like a bartender, as like a server, right? And I was like, well, I gotta go back to school, right? Because that's the norm. So I went to nursing school. I ended up graduating and getting my degree as a certified and registered medical assistant. Did that for about 6 to 8 months, and I was like, this sucks. I hate this. I was like, but I just spent all this money on college, right? I just did the norm, and I don't like it. So, like, what am I going to do now? You know, am I going to go back to, like, waiting tables? Right. Like, or should I pick up everything I have and just move to a different state and figure it out? And I was like, you know what? My family was in the military. Military don't sound that bad, right? They pay you to move, and they give you clothes and a house and food. I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. So I ended up going to a recruiter's office, and I was like, hey, I want to join the Navy, but I don't want to be on a ship. And he was like, what? And I was like, all right, do you want me to join or not? You know? And he was like, well, why don't you just go to the Army or the Marines? And I was like, Because I don't want to go on in the breed, you know? I was like, that was a different breed to people, and I get it.
I'm Top Gun. I just want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So he was like, all right, well, first you got to take your ASVAB. And I was like, what's that? And he was like, oh, God, here we go.
Yeah.
He was like, it's like a standardized test that'll help us like categorize like what job is best for you. And I was like, all right, I just did college, can't be hard.
Yeah.
Took the test, got a 38. And I was like, is that good? And he was like, no.
He's like, turns out I'm retarded.
Yeah, exactly. So he was like, these are the jobs you have available. And I was like, all right, well, which one doesn't go on a ship? I know about Seabees, right? Like my grandfather was in the Navy, and he was telling me, go CB. It's one of the best jobs you'll ever find in the Navy. And I was like, all right. So I went in with that information, the only information I had, and I ended up becoming a UT, which is a utilitiesman or a plumber, right?
Yeah.
The little UT2 thing up there. So I've been active for about 6.5. I don't know. Whoever's good at math, obviously, with my background, I'm not good at it. I joined in August of 2017. I'm currently still active duty. I will finish this contract in August of 2025, and then I'm going to transition out of the military.
Okay, cool.
I think I finally made up my mind. My wife has helped me make this decision. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to do this and you're going to deal with it, because for the past 3 years, I've been dragging her along on this entire military career and like picking up from where she's lived. You know, it kind of seems appropriate to make the decision together.
Right.
I want to continue doing plumbing on the outside. It's something I'm really good at. It's fun. It's like adult Legos. And if you fuck up, you get really wet. So just stay dry, right?
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal is to become a home inspector. That's kind of like cool. That's kind of where where I'm sitting at. I don't think I could drive manual good enough to become a professional race car driver. I'm also maybe a little bit.
You don't have to do that.
Oh wow! You're cheating. Yeah. No, yeah. So throughout this last contract, right? I re-enlisted in May 6th, 2022. It's up there. Yeah, someone has to write it down for me. Yeah. Ever since then, I was kind of just like in that weird feeling of like I don't feel right, and I really don't know if I want to like be in the military anymore.
Right.
And it wasn't I was mad about being in the military. It was I was mad about re-enlisting, because there were so many things that I really wanted to do, but I couldn't because I was still active duty. So I kind of had an idea where I was like, what can help me and also help others transition out of the military and learn resources? Yeah. So I was like, hey, if I come up with a podcast, I can talk to people and find out all these different avenues of approach into getting out of the military. And I hope that every episode I do, I can at least reach to somebody and be like, hey, like, for example, you know, John got a DUI while active duty. He got kicked out for smoking weed, but now he's a CEO of this company making 6 figures a year. So things are possible for everybody, right? So everybody has everybody has a similar story, just different cover. It's kind of,
dude, if you reach like one fucking person per episode, I mean, that's huge.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So that's kind of where I'm at now, man. Honestly, the podcast has been taking off. I went from having just like my friends on, because speaking of being a stand-up comedian, that was one thing that I always wanted to do, but I prefer to sit down. So I
guess cool. I mean,
one thing I learned with starting to do stand-up is it's better to tell jokes to your friends, or being a public speaker. It's better to talk in front of people because it makes you more comfortable. So I started interviewing some of my buddies who are active duty, or some of my buddies who got out, and now it's just reaching to lengths and to guests to professional race car driver. You know what I mean? Honestly, I'm forever grateful. I'm forever humble. I haven't made $0 off this. I literally give everything to everybody. I get all this merch just to make people, people like merch. So you do an episode with me, I'll send you a shirt, I'll send you some bracelets, and people love that, So honestly,
when did you start the podcast?
I started it on September 11th of last year.
Oh, really? Wow. So like new. Yeah.
Yeah, like new.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
being a New York native, being alive in 2001 when the terrible 9/11 incident happened, it was
Yep.
kind of a sentimental date for me to want to start this podcast. Plus, I had the idea like a month before, so it kind of gave me like a month to prepare, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my first episode out, and it's gonna be like the introduction into me, my story, and why I'm making it today. And the cool thing is that episode that I released on September 11th and what I just told you right now is probably not completely different, but like I should go watch it and just see like how far I've came already. Like honestly, this thing is doing great, and I couldn't be happier about it. My wife hates it
that's
though.
awesome.
She's always like, "You're doing podcast stuff." I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I always
man.
feel like on any of those like the TikTokers or whatever, I can imagine like being their significant other and they're sitting there just mandatory fun day where it's in the videos while his wife's just like in the car. It's so funny. But,
oh god.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. That is really cool.
Speaking of TikTokers and like dealing with the wives, there's this one, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he's like a cop and like they like pop balloons and like shoot like darts full of like milk on each other. It's so hilarious.
Oh,
But after
I
a while,
have seen that. I have seen it. Yeah.
After a while, I just be like, all right, I'm fucking done with it. Can we just not do that?
The one where they're like just the ones basically that same idea where there's like always pulling a prank on each other. It's like, dude, I would be just so over that real quick because it's like your entire life. It's like, oh my god.
And the thing is too, like, yeah, it was funny. We just made like a 45-second viral TikTok clip, but now we got to clean this shit up.
Dude, I think about that all the time. I don't know if you've seen the guy that he tries to hang from like different things. He'll be like, how many pencils does it take to hold me up or something?
He does it like with the hangers. Yeah.
It's like, and I can't. He did something. I was like, bro, the cleanup on that has to be forever.
Yeah. And those little closet doors. If he ever tries to sell, he's gonna have to replace those closet doors.
100%.
Or you're probably hanging on by a two-head.
Yeah. Dude, it's insane what people gotta do to go viral. It's crazy. I can't imagine. I'm so awkward in front of a camera. Like I just can't do it. And, I've had a few PR people that are like, you got videos. So like you'll go through my Instagram and there's like a stage like last summer where I did like 4 videos in a row. And it was like the most awkward experience where I'm like, I'm here at the racetrack. Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say. It's just like, people don't care. And like, people do care, but like, I feel like people don't care that much. So, I'd prefer this where we like have a conversation or something.
Yeah.
This is way more fun.
Makes it more comfortable for you because like you're in your own house too, right? Like, obviously the goal would to be like to have like a setup and kind of like, have guests like come to me or I can go to them and set all that up. But I ain't no Joe Rogan. I'm active duty. Everybody knows what I make. I ain't got money like that. But that would be like kind of like the goal in the future. But this is perfectly fine for me. And my audience, I don't think they care less. It's all about the interactions, the advice, the resources, and the guests that I have on that I think people actually do care about. So I'm very excited for you and for this episode and for everyone to hear, good things about the 11/11 and know that it's not just a veteran business, right? Like, okay, it's just another veteran business. No, that's not what it is at all. Yeah. It's a way for you to become an entrepreneur. It's a way for you to get job training. It's a way for you to be a part of philanthropy events. It's a way for you to battle your physical and your mental health. And I'm honestly, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm so happy right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. It's really cool to see or just hear about how far this has come. And it's such a short time. It's crazy. It's like 4 months, dude. Like, that's awesome. So,
September 11th, 2023, we started up. And we've been doing an episode every Sunday, ever since then. And just trying to grind on the social media aspect of it, even though it's miserable and I hate it. But, you got to do what you got to do.
Same.
Same, yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Colin, do you have anything you want to say before I let you go?
I don't think so. I mean, thanks for having me on, dude, for sure.
Of course, man.
This has been a lot of fun. So check us out, Level 11 with the project, Colin Garrett Rev, basically on everything, I think, ColinGarrettRacing.com. Yeah, that's it. So thanks for having me.
No problem, Colin. Hey, I've never been to a race before, bro. If there's any way we can collab or I can come out and actually meet you and see a race,
So
that'd
where are
be
you
dope.
at? Forgive me if you already said, but where are you at?
Right now, I'm currently in Virginia.
Oh, shit. No.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
In Norfolk?
Norfolk. Yeah. Wait, how do you say it?
Norfolk.
Oh, you do say it like that. Everyone says,
Yeah.
If you're from Norfolk, you say Norfolk.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Norfolk.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually looked it up. I looked up South Boston because as soon as I did like my whole like, who the hell is Garrett? Who the hell is Colin Garrett? And it popped up. I seen South Boston, and I was like, oh fuck. And then he said, Virginia, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Dude, people all the time. I've gone to places, and we were in like Raleigh one day, and we were at a racetrack, and people were like, "Oh, where you guys from?" I'm like, South Austin. I'm like, we expect no, because like less than 2 hours away. And they're like, "Oh man, that's so far away." I'm like an hour and a half away. And they're like, I'm like, Virginia, idiot. And like, oh, do I sound like I'm from South Boston?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's funny enough too, because like prior, I was like, I've been following you on Instagram for quite a while now, but I was like seeing like your videos where like you actually speak, and I'm like, there's no fucking way a guy from Boston doesn't have an accent and drives race cars. I don't even think they know what race cars look like in Boston.
Yeah.
Like,
I've got like a mix of a Southern and Midwest accent, so it's like not Boston accent.
Especially when you hopped on the episode and you started talking, I was like, oh, yeah, this guy doesn't sound. It's like, we're good. Don't worry, Mom. We'll have to kill him.
That's funny.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Cool. All right, Colin. Well, now I'm officially gonna let you go. Thank you so much for coming onto my platform and spreading awareness and letting everybody know about you, your life, and the 1111 Veteran Project.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully we do it again. This is cool.
I'm down, dude. I got nothing but time, man. I'm active duty, awesome. So I go to work at 9 and I'm home by 9:30.
Play it done.
Yeah, and if I have an appointment, that means my appointment takes all day long.
Yeah, that's 12 hours to yourself, man. You got it. It's fine.
All right, man. Thank you very much, Freedom Empire. Until next time.
Views presented are those of the speaker, and the guest do not necessarily represent the views of the Department of Defense or its components. Neither the Department of Defense or its components bears any responsibility for the accuracy, legality, or content of the views discussed on this podcast. Now, without further ado, let's get into this.